Hey guys, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about how I was scammed out of $1,600 about 2 years ago by a modeling agency. So, this happened in the summer of 2018, and the modeling agency in question was technically a mother agency. Now, a mother agency is an agency that doesn't necessarily look for work directly for you, but they look to get you signed with different agencies in different cities, so you're working in different markets. So, a mother agency wants to get you signed with an agency in New York, an agency in London, an agency in Los Angeles, and a lot of times they push a lot of their talent for Asia because there's a lot of potential out there for money. There's a lot of potential out there for the different markets, and it's also really a lot of potential for girls who happen to be maybe a little shorter, who don't hit the 5'10", 5'11" mark, because they accept talent that are 5'8", 5'9". So the modeling agency's name in question is VST Models. I didn't think I was going to say it. I didn't want to say it, but you know what? It's been 2 years. I don't want people to fall for the scam anymore like I fell for it. Like so many other girls fell for it. I had friends that I reached out to, who I've talked to, who were also with them, that have lost out on money with them. And I'm going to tell you, what happened, how it went down. I'm going to warn people how these scammers pry on these younger girls who are maybe naive and not as experienced and try to get money out of them. So here's what happened. Again, so this is VST Models. They're still around, unfortunately. You can check out their Instagram. They used to be called TNT Model Management, but of course, he's the person who is doing this. His name is Tom. He used to be doing this under TNT Model Management, and a lot of the words started going around with him, so he essentially rebranded is what happened. But so if you go online on VST Models, if you go and Google it, not a lot of stuff comes up. So that's what should have been a red flag, but at the same time wasn't a red flag because nobody was saying good stuff, but nobody was saying bad stuff either. So in the summer of 2018, I was contacted on Instagram by VST Models by somebody. It was a woman. I don't remember what her name was, but I think it was Tom at the time. I don't think he really has anybody working for him, but I think he just pretends to be these multiple people. But he reached out to me via VST's modeling Instagram under the guise of this woman who was an agent working for him, and she wanted to offer me he wanted to offer me a modeling agency contract as a mother agent. Okay, so his contract was really weird. It didn't really state any exclusivity, and a lot of mother agencies are supposed to be exclusive. They don't want you working with other mother agents because they want to be the ones submitting you for all these markets. Okay. So in the summer of 2018, he reached out to me on Instagram under the guise of this woman, and he wanted to see my digitals. He already offered me the contract without even seeing my digitals, which is a huge red flag, right from the get-go. So I should have known better, but he saw my portfolio, he liked my photos, he has to see it. He asked for my statistics, my measurements all the way down my body and my height, things like that, very standard. I told him, and he offered me a contract. And with that, he told me that I had to pay a fee for the modeling contract, for website fees, things like that. And typically that's actually very standard. So, and it ended up being like $200, which isn't anything crazy because I pay $150 a year with my Chicago agent and about $375 a year with my New York agent. So some agencies do this where they charge you to be on their website. If you don't want to be on their website, it's fine. But, it's always preferable because maybe they have exclusive clients. So, you want that to be seen by those clients. But anyways, they charged me $200, and he was in Europe. He was not a mother agency in America. He was in Europe. So that's already, was a little weird. But, it was simple. It was through PayPal, $200 in fees. He put me up on the website. He put me on his Instagram account. He sent me the contract, things like that. And it was, again, everything was going pretty standard. I did try to do some research, VST Models. And again, I didn't find anything. I didn't find much. I tried to do VST Models Tom, with his name, Tom, and I couldn't find anything much either. So like I said, it was very, very difficult. And a lot of this is on me too. I fully acknowledge that I was very excited that he wanted to pitch me for South Korea, which is a goal of mine, to travel to South Korea and work there, and work in China, work in Japan, places like that. So I kind of got caught up in the fantasy of it all and missed a lot of other red flags that I should have realized, and that's why I'm making this video and sharing with you guys, so you guys don't make the same mistake that I did. So VST Models couldn't find anything, nothing came up. and so it was really hard. There was nothing to go off of, but he did tag his models in his posts. So I reached out to the models, a couple of the models, and none of them had any problems with him. One of his models got sent to South Korea, and she was killing it there, making lots of money, having a great time, shooting out there, and he seemed to have a really great relationship with all of his models. But some of the red flags that I noticed was that he was very overly eager, he was really pushy, he almost was very manipulative, and he was really hard to see, but you kind of like didn't want to piss him off, and it was a little unnerving, and I remember there was one instance. He currently had a model that was in India that was supposed to model another country, and then after a couple days we get an email like not to keep any contact with her because something had happened. I went to her Instagram and she didn't say what had happened. She was just saying that the agency was being very dodgy. So again, it was another red flag, but I ignored. Things happen. It was very unusual though. That's not how you conduct business. Agencies, if something falls through with a model, agencies don't tell the other models, things like that. It's very unprofessional. So again, it was a little weird. So he was pushing for me for contracts, and he ended up supposedly getting a couple contract offers in South Korea, one in particular that I really had wanted. So that was the one we were really pushing for. But while I was still in the US, I was living in Chicago, and even though I'm currently in LA, I was living in Chicago at the time, and he had found a client in Los Angeles for me, except it was a client for a streaming app. So the way that this worked was that I would stream live on this app for 30 hours a month, which honestly, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it ended up being a lot because on days when I would get busy and I couldn't stream, even though it was only an hour a day, every hour that I missed had to be built up. So there were days where I had to catch up and stream like 3 to 4 hours a day. So, it was hard to kind of like find the time, but it was a really fun experience. I get paid monthly to do it, plus bonus and incentives. And the way it worked is that the company would pay the agency, and the agency was supposed to pay me. So that's typically how it works. So the first month, I don't remember how much we had agreed to. It was like a few $100s plus incentives. The first month, I think I made like $100 in incentives plus whatever the monthly agreement had been. And it was great. He gets the money, and then I'm asking him how long it'll take for me to get the money. And he says about 2 weeks, he'll pay me in 2 weeks. So great. So I get started on my second month, I get them, but this month I'm getting a lot more bonus and incentives. And I think altogether the 2 months I ended up making like $1,400. Okay. So I ended up making $1,400 on a streaming app, developing a fan base, having a really great time with it. It was truly fun. And I was really excited that I had made $1,400 doing it. And it was, really easy. So the time comes around, he says that, we have to push for this contract, we have to get signed, I have to get out there, things like that. And I'm like, okay, but you still haven't paid me the $1,400 that you owe me for the streaming, this was my money, I worked for it, and I wanted it. And he just didn't, he would, he's just like, oh, I sent it to you, like already. And then he would send me paperwork in a different language that, says that it was a receipt, and it would say $1,600. Turns out what he was doing is he was going to a currency exchange and exchanging $1,600 to whatever money he had, and then exchanging it back, so he would get a receipt in a different language that I didn't understand. It said 1,600 USD to make it seem as if he had wired me the money. So really sneaky, and I told him at one point, like I said, he was pushing me for this contract to get to South Korea. And then I stopped and told him, like, listen, I'm not flying until I get this money. I really wanted to go there. It would have been an amazing opportunity. But what was going to happen? He was going to get all this money, and I was not going to see a dollar of it. That's not going to happen. So eventually he stopped responding to me. He stopped responding, and because he was in Europe, the legal proceedings to go through that would have been just too difficult. It would have ended up being way more than $1,600. So unfortunately, I never saw a dollar of that money from the streaming app. But what was nice is that the streaming app people realized that something was going on with him, and they cut off their contract with him, but they directly came to me and asked to have a one-on-one contract with me, under similar conditions. And I ended up making money from the app, which was wonderful, and I still had a wonderful time doing it, and I still use the app. So at least that came out of it. But going forward, I reached out to the couple of the models that I had talked to that I know were with him, and they were having similar experiences. One of the girls went to South Korea, and she was originally from Australia, and she had come back from South Korea was back in Australia, and he owed her about $7,000, you know, because he gets paid from the agency and then he's supposed to pay her out. And you know, he would pay her a little bit to make her think that she was gonna get the rest, and then keep the rest of the money, so she'd keep working and making more money, and then he'd get the sum, like the payment, and you know, that's it. That he just kept all the money. And it was really unfortunate how the excuses he said, that he said his cousin died and he was always on vacation. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm at the beach, I'm sorry, I'm at my lake house, you know. So he would take these young girls' money who were 18, 19 years old, going from one country to another one all by themselves, working there for 3 months away from their families to make this money. He would get paid out by these agencies and he would keep the money for themselves, and these girls would not see a dollar of it. So again, this agency was VST Models. They're still around. They used to be TNT Model Management. I found out more about him once I looked up his personal name. Then I saw more stuff like, don't work with this man, don't work with this man, don't work with this man, you know. And now he has a very high model turnover rate. So he would work with a group of models, work with them for a few months, you know, string them along as much as he can, you know, take their money, and then he would drop them, stop talking to them altogether, and then he would get a new line of models that he would work with, send them out to countries, get their money, you know. And he also stopped tagging the models in his posts, so you know, you can't contact the girls, you can't tell them what's going on because you don't know who they are. So he's been doing that. It's honestly really scary, but here are ways to like that you can avoid stuff like that. So now when I tell people about, you know, things like this, here's what I tell them. When you look for a mother agency, stick to one in your country, okay? There's plenty of mother agencies if you guys are in the US. There's plenty of mother agencies in the US. If you're in Europe, because of the European Union, it might be a little easier to go with legal proceedings. So stick to one in Europe. You know, if you're in Canada, try and find one in Canada. There are plenty of mother agencies and management companies out there actually, and that will like have smaller rosters, so there's plenty of choices for you. If something were to happen, the legal proceedings would be much easier if they were in your country. The second thing is, do your research. If you don't find anything, that's just as much of a red flag as if you find anything bad, you know. If an agency seems like they've just like come out of complete nowhere, that's not a good thing either, you know. I found lots of stuff about TNT Model Management, but that's only when I connected it to Tom's name. And you know, he was doing the same thing under TNT Model Management, but he had to shut it down because eventually people got smart and he just rebranded and created VST Models. So I would highly recommend doing as much thorough research as you can. Find out the names of the people working at the agencies. Try to find their LinkedIns, their social media accounts, things like that, you know, so that you can find out more about who they are, the actual people, you know. So, you know, like I said, this man was creating multiple names as if he had multiple agents working for him, and it was really just him, just taking these girls' monies. Something else that I would really recommend when you look for a mother agency is that, you know, you should keep business. It should be more formal. It shouldn't have felt so personal. I feel like it became too personal. You know, like I said, he was calling me all the time, WhatsApp, texting me things, you know. It became too personal. It should still be formal and professional. You can have a professional friendship with your agent, and you should. It is highly encouraged. But it should still stay professional. It should never get too personal, okay? And another thing that I recommend is that talk to the other girls what's going on, you know? See if you can go back further posts. Do you see like them having a high turnover rate, like models that they had 6 months ago are no longer with them? See if you can talk to those girls. Why aren't they with them anymore? What's going on? You know, is anybody owed money? Like, that's the number one thing that you should be doing. I always ask about payments, like, are you guys getting paid on time? You know, and you don't have to ask how much, just ask if every payment's okay, if they're in a timely manner. And I also think you should discuss with your agency how payment will work with other agencies if you get signed out. So I had this issue with, you know, like he was paid directly by the agency, and then he was supposed to pay me. You know, there are a lot of agencies that don't do that. They'll, you know, have you paid your portion, and then they'll pay your agent their portion. So that was a great way, you know, to work, because then by contract they can pay you. If you're owed 60%, they'll get, your mother agent will get the 10%, they'll get the 30%, you know. So that way there's not like multiple dealings of money. So I think that's really, really important. You know, take lessons from me, guys. I lost out on $1,600 that I had rightfully earned, and I'm not gonna ever see that money back, which is really unfortunate. But then what I can do is educate. I can speak up now from my experience. I should have spoken up 2 years ago when this happened, but I didn't because I didn't feel comfortable with it. But now I do. I know where I'm at in this career. I feel comfortable enough to talk about this, and what had happened was wrong. Okay, so I don't want this to happen to you guys. You know, stay keen, stay aware. And if you have experiences like this, please reach out to me, you know, so we can talk about it, talk about what our options are, things like that. Okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please tell me what I should talk about next. If you have any questions for me about my modeling, about my career, about this, please don't hesitate to ask me. Leave a comment, or you can private message me. Thank you so much. Please be sure to subscribe and follow me on Instagram at officialgabia, okay? Have a wonderful day, you guys, and I'll see you in my next video.